Wednesday, July the 4th. Lake level's right at 917 3/4. Hasn't changed very much since last fishing report. Water temperatures 82 to 85 degrees on the main lake, and later in the days you'll find some high 80s, even low 90s in the shallow water in the backs of the creeks. But the fish have been biting really good. I mean, they've been biting really good all month, you know, for pretty much all summer, ever since the fish got through spawning and moved out there deeper. But the best bite as far as numbers still seems to be out on main lake gravel points. Now, any place that's got deep water on one side or the other of it, kind of what we call a roll-off. Bluff ends will also work. And what I've been catching most of my fish out there on has been, you know, jig and spoons, and drop shot has been by far the best. And there's a lot of different colored worms that have been working. They've been biting, you know, so good it kind of gives you the opportunity to play with different colors. But day in and day out, the brown, purple, little chompers, or anything that color really seems to work good. Another one is the color's been working good for me is a plum. And there's not any certain kind of worm I'm throwing. I'm throwing a lot of different ones. Kanami makes some, Robo worm. I'm throwing some hand pores that a friend of mine makes. Zoom finesse worms will work, and like a cotton candy or a watermelon candy, or even a green pumpkin or green pumpkin red will work. Anything that kind of looks like a crawdad color. And also I've been catching a lot of drop shot fish on a Ned rig. I've been throwing a 1/4 ounce. It's a prototype Ned rig head that we're building. It's a pretty awesome little head. I probably won't have any for a couple months, but anyways, I've been using a Strike King Zero or Yamamoto will work. Just cutting a Senko in half. And anything that's crawdad color seems to be working real well. And I'm fishing that kind of just like a drop shot or like a shaky head. I'm dropping it down to where I can actually see the fish and just shaking it in front of them. Sometimes I'm just going right to the bottom and coming up about a crank. Most of the fish have been anywhere, I've been keeping the boat 25, 35 feet deep. Most of the fish have been either on the bottom or within 5 feet of it. The only place I'm really finding any numbers of suspended fish is out over deep bluff ends where channel swings away from a bluff end, or around the deep docks that got 50 to 60 foot of water around them. Now, talking about them big docks, there's a good bite out there on flutter spoons or jig and spoon, and there's a lot of different spoons you can throw again there. Strike King's got a 4.5 and a 5.5 inch. Lake Fork Tackle makes some good ones. I've been using it's a Dixie Jet flutter spoon, usually about a 5/8 ounce, or I've been using a 3/4 ounce, just a slab spoon. And I usually use white. I used to mix it up with chrome and white, and I used to use the chrome on a sunny day and the white on a cloudy day, or if the water was a little bit dirtier. But seems like I can just keep it simple and throw white all the time. That way I don't have to worry about which color to throw. Seems to work real well with me. But a lot of these fish are in some of them deep docks. Some of them are in the creeks. They usually relate to like a dock that's got a channel swing that breaks away from the dock, right in front of the dock. Seems like you got to have 35 to at least 60 foot of water. And the end stalls seems to be the ones that the fish hold in the best. And what we normally do is flip the spoon up in the boat dock stalls and just let it free spool down about 10 to 12 feet. Jerk it a few times. If that doesn't work, let it go down a little bit deeper. A lot of times you can get out in front of them docks where the cables are that hold the dock in place, and you can catch them around them cables. Them cables will get a bunch of algae on it, and the plankton and stuff feed on that, and the bait feeds on them. And then the fish will hang around the bait. But there's, a lot of times this time of year we can always catch some fish around them cables, either on the drop shot or the spoon. And it's also been in a lot of the same places I've been fishing the drop shot. I've been able to catch them on a football jig. Another jig I've been throwing is the 5 Fish Lures Ultimate Finesse Jig. This is a Missouri craw color. And any kind of twin tail will work. like a Strike King Rage Craw, Twin Tail Chompers, something that's got a lot of leg action. I'm going a little bit bigger instead of like a baby Rage Craw. The bigger size craw seems to be working a little bit better for me. I think as the water gets warmer and we get later into the summer, the crawdads and everything are getting a little bigger and the fish's appetite is still bigger. So it seems like that the bigger craw seems to be catching a little bit better fish. And another place I'm catching a lot of fish on the football jigs and the finesse jig is on the Department of Conservation's rock piles and stump fields. Anywhere from 18 to 25 feet deep. And if you don't know where those are, you can go to the Missouri Department of Conservation, and I think it's called Fish Attractors, and go to Table Rock Lake, and it'll give you waypoints and the coordinates on where they are, and it'll tell you which ones are rock piles, which ones are stump fields, and which ones are evergreen trees. So the fish, and those have been mainly largemouths and smallmouths that have been around them brush piles and rock piles. Most of the fish I'm catching out there deep on the drop shot, the majority of them are Kentuckys. Every once in a while there'll be a smallmouth or a largemouth mixed in with them. But them smallmouths and largemouths seem to be a little bit shallower in that 18 to 25 foot. And there's also on certain days there's been a good shallow bite. You know, with the lake level at just under 917, there's quite a few places where there's some buckbrush and a few willows that got a couple feet of water around them. And if I can get a day that's overcast or a day that I got pretty good wind and the water is churned up from either the boat traffic or the wind, you know, Big Creek is a good area. I've been catching some fish out of the buckbrush and in the upper White River. And I've been throwing a finesse jig or a Texas rigged like a Rage Craw or a Sweet Beaver has been working good in, you know, just on a 1/4 ounce weight. But it's not happening all over the place, but you will find wherever you get one bite, you usually find a row of bushes and get several fish, you know, out of that same row of bushes. But, you know, for the summertime, the bite's been real good. We've been getting out early and getting off early before it gets too hot. But during the week, the boat traffic hasn't been too bad, and the same patterns seem to be working, you know, throughout the lake. I've been up into James, down by the dam, Campbell Point area. The thing I haven't found real good yet is the upper rivers, as far as a football jig or Carolina rig or, you know, even a deep crankbait bite hasn't been real solid for me. But I think, you know, that should get a little bit better as we get later into the summer. So till next week, good luck, good fishing.